I see you typing over there, but we
do have a raised hand for comment. Scott Newberry, address is 966 Fernan Road, and he would like to speak, so I'm going to unmute him. Scott, are you with us?
I am.
Thank you. And you may now address the board.
Good evening, board. Thank you again for letting me speak. In the interest of trying to keep these meetings under an hour, I'll try to be brief. Start with a question. I've not heard yet tonight any resolution to insert yourselves into the Ohio Power Siting Board's process regarding the Pleasant Prairie Solar project. Can you speak on that in any regard?
I didn't hear the beginning of the conversation.
Scott, I have in my notes, I was going to make the announcement that the Pleasant Prairie Solar Project application was filed last Friday, February 19th. I sent an email to the siting board to get the process for filing for intervention. We have standing, but you have to get it filed for intervention. I just got that email response this afternoon, so I'll be reviewing that. One thing I had to talk to Pete about is it does say that we're required to have legal counsel. So I don't know if that means legal has to actually file it. And he and I did speak briefly about it on Monday. So I'll be following up now that I have the ORC sections from the Ohio Power Siting Board.
Okay, so there is a formal resolution in that you guys will actually be doing that. That has been decided.
No, that's up to the trustees. I'm going to provide them the information, and then they'll advise whether or not they want to do that. And we have, based on my last conversation with the representative of the siting board, we have until June to do that. But the trustees will have that information in the next few days.
So then are you trustees willing to commit to that at this point, or is there any additional information that I can provide to you that helps sway you and help motivate you, given the gravity of the situation?
I need more information from the legal to know what's involved in being an intervener.
Yeah, and when you can become an intervener without stating whether you're for or against the project. You're just filing to make sure that you are on record. So as the hearings proceed, that you have the ability to present there if you so choose. So that's what I would be recommending to you. If you want to take a position that, that would be up to you. What they sent me was a little bit confusing because I thought it was going to be for the township as a political subdivision. And what I read this evening, it looked like it was for me specifically. But, you guys as the elected officials obviously have standing too. So that's what I need to discuss with them tomorrow to make sure that it's the same process, I guess, But it talks about the chief executive of the organization or political subdivision. When I talked to him on the phone, I thought he was talking about just the organization as a whole, and then any of the elected officials or myself would have the ability to speak at the hearing if they so choose. So I've only gotten an email. I left voicemails, but haven't talked directly with them. But I will be following up on that tomorrow and forwarding that email on to you with more information.
Hey, Scott, have you sent all the information that I have received from you and other people? Have you forwarded that to Steve and Doug? Because, I don't know. I'm just asking you if you have done that.
No, I didn't know of a good forum. I didn't know if it'd be better to talk about it here, but it seems like there's a lot of business that gets done here that's related to more, day-to-day stuff. I didn't know if you guys would prefer closed door formal meeting with me coming down there, or because sometimes emails kind of get lost in translation. Just as a basic, if I can quickly, the importance of becoming an intervener, especially as a township, cannot be overstated enough. The process is a legal one, and once the door is closed on the being able to become an intervener, it is closed. So going forward, once the project goes live, assuming it gets approval, once the project goes live, the only source of recourse for anything that might go wrong with that project is through the Ohio Power Sitting Board. There is no other jurisdiction. There's no one else you can call. Only the people that are given standing during these proceedings have any ability to have any recourse going forward and hold the developer accountable for basically anything. Also, too, despite how they may make it appear, these decisions are not made in a vacuum. The siting board, I'm sorry, hears testimony from all reasonable parties. They also technically listen to the public comments, and any reasonable request that is made would become part of the approval, and therefore, be required to be met. So, at a bare minimum, again, as was stated, you're not at a loss for just taking advantage of the fact that as a organization, you have essentially a free pass. Of the 200 some odd constituents that are directly affected by this, if any of us try to intervene, which we are allowed to do, we have to petition. And then at that point, we are strongly advised to retain legal counsel, specifically someone who is trained in dealing with sitting board issues. The cheapest quote for which I received was $350 an hour, and they can go up to 500 plus per hour for basic representation. Again, you guys are in a special position where essentially you get them for free, and you can represent the community at large going forward with this project. So again, I urge you to, even if we speak more later, even if I flood you with information going forward, and you decide to act or not to act, at least leave that door open for yourselves and for us as a community, because once it's closed, it's closed.
And that's what I shared with you at the, 2 meetings ago. It just filed Friday, so that is in process.
Okay, so Scott, I think Jeff is on here also. And he and I talked this last week, and I told him that I would to the board. They would, I understand that the residents and him want to have a meeting at the community center in March, and we can do that on the 8th or the 15th. We are allowed up to 70 people at the rec center. And so, if you guys want to do that, you're more than welcome.
In-person meeting is going to be great, and you're going to get all the feedback you want and probably more if you do something like that. However, it's going to all be for naught if we miss any deadline for becoming a part of this process. So again, the cost layout for the township should essentially be zero. I think any lawyer can file the documentation. The only requirement I'm aware of is that a lawyer be the one that file the request. It's essentially an open door. If you don't go through the door, you're not going to have anything leg to stand on later. And that means the community at large will be in the same boat. So any future meetings, any amount of feedback you want in the future, with COVID, we have, a lot of difficulties having everyone be involved. As we've seen the Zoom meetings and things, we have technology barriers. So meeting in person might be ideal for a lot of folks. But again, you got to punch that ticket, or you got to reserve your spot. And to me, that's a pretty easy decision to make. And I hope it is done quickly.
Larry, Chris did add an in-person meeting would be very helpful in the chat.
And I'd be more than happy to do so. I have 2 other quick things too that were related to, but kind of tangential to this, regarding zoning and the House Bill 118 and its Senate bill that is counterpart to it. if you'd like to start with one or the other, I can be quick.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Again, regarding the Ohio Power Sitting Board, currently House Bill 118 and its Senate bill counterpart are in deliberation. Ohio is the only state in the entire nation that does not allow local zoning authorities, aka you guys, to get first say in large-scale solar power generation projects that convert agricultural land to industrial use. As presented, this bill is extremely simple. It's 28 pages long, can be summarized in just over 1 page. In the most basic terms, prior to a project going to the Ohio Power Sitting Board, the project would first go before the township trustees where the project resides. Trustees would then have the option to reject, refer to referendum, or take no action. I bring this up now because, one, it seems likely the bill will pass. Legislators in both houses and on both sides of the aisle are facing immense backlash from the House Bill 6 debacle and are looking for ways to make good with the public. Two, as presented, this change will be effective immediately and apply to all cases currently docketed with the OPSB. So again, in kind of the same vein, I would like to ask you guys tonight if you'd be willing to commit to supporting and passing a resolution to support this bill, because it does actually empower the trustees and gives parity to this process that is much more in line with what the rest of the country, and especially much more experienced states like California with solar and wind have.
Scott, I talked to our law director yesterday, and it was his interpretation that because this project is already a project, because the application has been filed, that any legislation that would pass would not apply to this project.
I make no, bones to be any type of lawyer. However, a simple read of the bill simply bears that not to be true. The language specifically calls for it to be effective immediately, and I can attest to that because the the representatives who introduced the bill and a number of the sponsors are facing the same situation we are in this community currently. They are directly bordering massive wind and massive solar projects, and they too are feeling significantly disenfranchised in this process. They're in the same lump with the rest of us, no matter their position. So that language is there. I'd be more than happy to send you guys some links. It's possible with a quick read that he missed it, but it is in plain English at the end of the bill.
Yeah, I personally have no problems in supporting either one of those bills. My questions would be on how they're gonna apply to this case. I can't see this. So we're gonna have to ask legal for.
I had already talked to Pete, so that's what, it's legislation is generally not retroactive, it doesn't go backwards in time. So if there's somehow they're able to pass this, and they would have to have some emergency measure, or it would be 90 days to take effect after passing, if it ever does pass. So
All I can tell you at this time, we'll look into it and get back to you.
Okay. One last thing. This is regarding current zoning. Current township zoning robustly covers nearly every possible land use. Setbacks like 500 feet from recreational facility like Camp Kenjockety, and 200 feet for a cell phone tower, minimum foliage type, density, height, percentage, noise ordinance, etc. There are multiple pages dedicated specifically to uses as seemingly mundane as self-serve storage facilities. However, there is literally no mention of solar panels or wind turbines. Yes, the OPSB has jurisdiction on installations 50 megawatts and greater, with current panel technology that equates to projects around 30 acres or more. My home sits on a little more than 3 acres. With some careful planning, I'm pretty sure I can fit 250-foot tall twin blade wind turbines, which should net me about 200 kilowatts. Or if I go with 3 acres of solar instead, I could boost that to nearly 5 megawatts. with the added benefit of not having to mow my lawn. If the inverters, if I place the inverters along the back of my fence, I won't have to hear their constant 40 decibel drone, and so on. Hopefully this ridiculous scenario illustrates my point. I asked the trustees to pass resolution requiring the zoning committee draft regulation and setback, appearance, siting, construction, noise, light pollution for small scale solar and wind power generation projects. I urge trustees to insist this language be in keeping with similar existing code and apply to all installation scenarios regardless of residential, commercial, or agricultural zoning. I request this language be drafted, submitted to the public for comment, revised, and codified within the next 60 days. This swift action has many benefits. 1, it rectifies an embarrassing code oversight. 2, it will help guide public conversation and focus community sentiment regarding wind and solar installations in general. 3, having agreed upon established code for smaller projects will make your job at the OPSB intervener significantly easier. No unorganized town halls and angry phone calls. Our desires and tolerance for larger projects will be easily extrapolated from established norms for smaller projects. 4, assuming the previously mentioned HB 118 passes in some form, future potential land developers will benefit from having existing code to reference. Planning for quick trustee and community approval will be easy and straightforward. Finally, in that same thread, when presented with a new large project proposal, trustees will have a very simple yardstick by which to gauge worthiness and public support.
We have that. What you just read. We do have a copy of that.
Oh, yeah, we have the zoning.
Okay.
I did.
Okay. I don't know what to say to it.
Well, I said, we'll take it at this time, we'll take it under advisement and see what we gotta do to get it done.
If not, we can all have a race to see who can build the tallest sub 50 megawatt fence.
Yeah, point taken.
That's all I have for now. I'm wide open for questions. Kathy has my contact information. I'd be more than happy to meet with all of you in person, communicate via phone or email. Again, please, if nothing else, zoning, anything else, just please take care of the becoming an intervener. Again, that's a free, easy step and is going to, I think, be very important going forward.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you. I do have Josh Reha. He wanted to make a comment as well. His address is 1 South Wacker Drive, Suite 1800, Chicago, Illinois, 60606.
You got 5 minutes.
Josh, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the trustees for allowing me to comment here real quick. I know it's getting late. I guess I would just ask to see and just make sure I made myself available to see. I know it was only posted, I believe, last Friday, but did want to check in and see if there were any initial questions to all of the due diligence materials and design support materials and resources that were submitted along with our application that describe our project approach and the design elements within it and other facets of the due diligence of developing such a project. Again, I know it's only been a few days, but again, just wanted to have the trustees and the board know that I'm here if there are any questions and that you all can reach out to me and let me know if I can help with any questions.
I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Scott wrote into us that he's got questions for Josh. I'm not sure if
Well, I tell you what, if he's got questions for Josh, we gotta go into executive session and we're gonna leave this open. So if Scott, are you okay with that? Or would you prefer us stay here and listen to your conversation?
No, if we're honestly intending on meeting and conveying more information back and forth, then I will just have a package ready for you. And honestly, you asking the questions probably go a lot further than me.
You want to make a motion on the use of the rec center for a meeting if they're able to schedule it on a Monday or Friday? Because we've been approving, since COVID, we've been approving any use changes at the recreation center. I just, if you are okay with me, I just feel better.
I'm okay with the meeting, but it would, whatever meeting would have to be by COVID guidelines. And
Sure, yeah, and that's why I'm talking with Michael and looking at family groups in the gymnasium, depending on how many people are in family groups and then spacing, the capacity is probably somewhere between 60 and 80 people. And that's what we were looking at there last week and talk more here this week about it. So, I mean, if you want to make a motion for a solar meeting, Kathy, who wants to host it? Is it Jeff?
Well, I
that wants to
thought
host it?
Josh and Jeff, so
Okay.
Josh didn't mention it, so.
I guess if,
And the
am I,
residents,
am I still online there?
You're still on.
I might be able to speak to that if that's okay. I guess, and just to maybe clarify, I'm not sure if there was a disconnect with anything with Jeff there. So with our application being submitted last Friday, we're now entering obviously in a new phase of development for the project with the OPSB process. And we are targeting a kind of an open house type of format meeting for around mid-March, end of March, just to kind of put all the logistics together to be able to host such an open house meeting. My understanding with Jeff was that you folks might have had some interest in initiating something earlier that we would certainly work to attend and be a part of and be involved in, and certainly willing to do that and have more discussions at that meeting that would be booked sooner. But again, we are working on getting something scheduled here. I would say again in the next few weeks, mid to late March, to host such an open house meeting.
Josh, do you already have a location for that, or are you looking for a facility? Because that was my understanding, you guys needed a place for the meeting, but that could have been.
and that's my understanding.
Yeah.
They haven't.
Oh no, as far as I'm concerned, we are again trying to plan those logistics and don't have anything locked down quite yet. So if you all have any locations, local locations that you might recommend to Invenergy to utilize for this event, I certainly welcome those recommendations.
Well, the facility we've been talking about is our community center. That would be our biggest township-owned facility. But if you have somewhere else in mind that'll, that works for you guys and will let more residents attend, we're fine with that. I just thought that there was a need for a facility, and that's what we were looking at, so we could make that available if the trustees so choose. So,
If I may quickly, if Invenergy would like to host and find a venue, I'm fine with that. Personally, deciding on the date and making sure that the word gets out needs to be handled by either myself, an advocacy group, or the trustees, or all of the above. Communication has been less than ideal up to this point regarding these types of meetings.
Josh, what are you looking for?
The trustees.
Yeah, this is not a township project, and the trustees aren't looking to schedule. We were looking to assist and accommodate if there was a meeting that was desired by
The residents.
Invenergy or the residents. We were just trying to offer a facility if that would be helpful.
Okay, that's great. I will certainly, if there's somebody I can connect with regarding that facility, that would be great. And of course, again, as I described, I think last time I was on the call, we are early in the process here, and in completing our due diligence and getting our application posted, and followed protocols with the last public information meeting. But I would certainly welcome any other recommendations or protocols on how to provide notice for this upcoming open house to get that word out.
Josh, just so you know, the recreation center is only available weeknight wise on Monday and Friday evening. It's programmed Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Okay, I will look into that. And again, I'll have either myself or a member of my team reach out to the applicable person at the community center to, again, further investigate those logistics.
Okay.
No other comments.